G'day, mate. Shall I throw a pip on the bobby for ya? Ripper. Morning, everybody. Let me remind you that trading Forex is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results, but please always stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Guten Morgen. Hey, hello. Hey, my name is Wayne. I'm the Chief FX Market Strategist for TradersWay. Give us a try. Go to TradersWay.com. Try a demo account. Chit chat with our support staff. I think you'll like our execution. I think you'll like our service. We want to be your prime broker, and these sessions are to help you become a successful Forex trader. And we hope that you find success and happiness and love and profit for years and years and years to come. We do these sessions every morning, 7:30, Monday through Thursday, and every Friday at FX Street, where I am speaker, Forex speaker of the year. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Everything's all good. All right. So, well, let's confirm. Can you see the charts? Cool. Good coffee. All right. So, post non-farm payrolls world. Look where we are with the USD yen. Weekly reversal pivots, monthly central pivot. Seems like we should drop. What do you think? Roll reversal. So, rumor has it the Fed's going to raise interest rates despite everything, despite Brexit, despite slowing down in jobs. But if we use pure technical analysis, I think it suggests that we should be down at the weekly central pivot point by the end of the week. What do you think? In June. The rumors are June. Yeah. So some of the dovish members of the FOMC are talking about raising interest rates. And several large bond investors at Bill Gross, Mohammed Al-Arian, are both saying, hey, don't count the Fed out in June. And these are the people that tend to know. I don't really care about Bill Gross's opinion that much, but Mohammed Al-Arian, I do. And they both used to work together at PIMCO. But anyways, like I said, the pure technician in me says if you hit the pivot point, pivot profit zone early in the week, and this is only Monday, and by the end of the week we should touch the central pivot point. So I'm going to do an M4 to M2 guess because M2 is also weekly M2 is also a monthly M2. Whale oil B. MR fish. Okay. So these guys up here actually are talking about it right now. Federal Reserve's next steps. And he's saying, ma, 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 ma. So how do you want to play it? Comes down to it. Also, does anyone here subscribe to Barron's magazine? Barron's wrote like a 3-page article on why you should buy the Aussie dollar. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Okay. So here's the 4 hour. And if you're going to play the current trend, you're going to want to sell up here fairly soon against the article. Yeah, like a baron of industry. And they cited things like improvement in China and so on and so forth. And I'm like, that's interesting because China is still collapsing. Australia is slashing interest rates and should continue. So who knows what this guy's time horizon is? Maybe buy Aussie dollar for the next year, and 2018 it'll be up. So you got to be careful. By the way, South African unemployment rate 26.7. Good job, South Africa. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Holy smokes. Holy smokes, huh? Yeah, Zelda's like, what? What a, yeah. Zelda's a, yeah, it's South Africa. Yeah, it's scary, huh? Yeah. Holy. So in South Africa, the mining industry lost 10,000 jobs. The construction sector lost 77,000 jobs. The finance industry lost 55,000 jobs. Yeah, besides that, everything's okay. Holy smokes. That can't be a good job or a good sign for the commodity industry, huh? Anyone following the fires in northern Canada? Let me let me let me give you an example of Canadians. This is a town, basically one road out of town. Apparently, things have modernized. There's two roads out of town. There's 100,000 people living in this city. 100,000. Yeah, for a lot of people, that doesn't sound like a lot. But when you're isolated in the forest, yeah, okay, yeah, it's a lot of people. Okay. The entire city was evacuated. This city is burned to the ground. No joke. The city has burned to the ground. 100,000 people evacuated. Nobody injured, nobody killed. If this happened in America, there would be riots. People would be running each other over. There'd be massive traffic jams everywhere. Um, and there would also be a huge part of the population standing around like, hey, when are you going to save me? Come on, government, bail me out, save me. Why aren't you doing something to save me? I'm waiting here. Why don't you save me? And it's just amazing. And then Canada's like, let's get out of here, eh? And they just work together, no traffic jams. I mean, there's bumper to bumper traffic, but everyone's just moving together. And if you watch some of the videos, people are near death. The forest is burning right next to their vehicles. The side of their cars are melting. And all of a sudden, a fire truck's coming by. Everyone pulls over, lets the fire truck by, and then they all move out together. And then just slowly moving out, and they get out of town. And it's like, not a problem. Good job, Canada. Like, seriously, that's how Canadians get it done, eh? Just not a problem. Just done. Let's get out of town. Let's evacuate the entire city. My family has lived there for over 30 years, probably closer to 40 years. My uncle's home is burned to the ground. There's nothing left. and he's lived there his whole entire life, but he doesn't own it anymore. He moved away about 5 years ago. He retired, and I think I have another uncle that used to live there, and he's out. But I have a cousin who's still there. He's a big shot at at the largest oil company in Fort McMurray, and his house is okay. Guy says the prime minister. You know what? I saw a video, Guy, of Trudeau. He was speaking about it. He was talking to how he went door to door, um, you know, politicking when he was running. Met a bunch of yeah. No, I only saw a couple of YouTube videos, and one of them had him talking. So there you go, eh? Yeah. So yeah. So the Canadians are a hardy bunch. It's just like they just. It's just interesting. Just evacuated an entire city of 100,000 people. No one injured. No one killed. No one crying or complaining. All right. So cool. Good job, Canada. What else going on? Chinese data pretty poor, huh? I don't have it in front of me. Let's see. I'm looking for it. Gee whiz, eh? I don't have it in front of me. Do I have the email open? Let me see if I can get this data. I don't recall it being very good. Let's see. Where's Asia? There it is. Okay, April trade balance, 3-month high. Okay, and this doesn't break it down. Oh, here we go. Imports fell for the 18th straight month. Imports came in at negative 5.7. They were expecting a positive number. Okay. So when you look at the numbers, it's not really good. So not a good sign for China. And apparently there's been a huge increase in I don't forget how they track it. Is it receipts or invoices or something? To Hong Kong, like no joke, 300% month over month increase. In Chinese invoices going to basically invoices from Shenzhen going to Hong Kong, right? And people are suggesting that it's all fake. Maybe it's the other way around. I guess invoices coming from Hong Kong to China, and then China pays the invoices to Hong Kong, and it's all fake because it's really companies just getting money offshore, which is pretty funny. Saudi Arabia. Chris says shakeup. I don't think it's really a shakeup. I think this is all part of the plan. There's lots of changes going in Saudi Arabia, and I think this is all sort of just just where we're going. So the interesting thing is the United States is the one that's the overproducer. It's America's fault. This is why Saudi Arabia doesn't want to do anything to fix it. And even if they wanted to, or Iran, good job, America, by the way, good job. Iran is pumping oil, and OPEC and freaking OPEC out. Even OPEC despises them now. And so, what's the point if Iran's boosting production? Why would Saudi Arabia decrease production? Because now all you're doing is sending money to Iran, and I don't believe the Saudis like the Iranians, right? Because if you go back, and I'm not from the region, so hopefully I don't insult anybody here, but you have Arabs and Saudi Arabians or Arabs, and people from Iran are Persians. And it's not the same. To an American, it's all the same. Um, they're completely different cultures and such, and I don't think they really like each other that much, especially when they're competitors in this way. But if it was up to Saudi Arabia, OPEC would cut production, but Iran doesn't give two hoots about OPEC. They're like, screw you, we're producing oil. And the United States is also overproduced and got us to this point where we have oversupply. So Saudi Arabia is like, well, why do I need to fix everyone's problems? It's not our fault. States of America overproducing to the point where the industry collapses. And then, and so now the United States, what do? They cut the rig count from, what was the rig count? Like 1,500 or something? And now we're down to 300 rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. Hundreds of thousands of jobs lost. Good job, America. Good job managing your natural resources. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah. And then bring Iran on board. Nice job. So now OPEC can't even do anything. And so, so Saudi Arabia's like, we're not going to cut. There's no need to cut. If we cut, it wouldn't solve anything. Right? We have Iran producing oil. We have Russia producing oil. We have Venezuela in desperate needs. No, there's tons of supply. There's one good piece of news out of this whole thing, besides low prices that are going to be around forever. So let's just call that a free subsidy for the entire world, except the United States has to pay the bill on this one because hundreds of thousands of jobs have been lost. So the United States has to pay the bill. Good job, America. The rest of the world gets to enjoy low oil prices. And the one thing is, I just wrote an entire paper about how there's no need to drill in the Arctic. And this is probably a good thing for the environment. Why do you need expensive Arctic oil when we have plenty of hydrocarbons that are easier to get at, just lower hanging fruit? So if you're worried about the environment, in particular the environment in the North Pole, this is probably the best news ever. This probably gives the Arctic another 20 years to just sit and recover. So that's pretty good. So did you know oil out of, let's say, Alaska, the amount of oil has plummeted over the last 15 years? Plummeted. How do we get here? So the Alaska pipeline needs 300,000 barrels a day pumped through it. And we're dangerously close to that. That's the minimum. That's the minimum amount of oil that needs to go through the pipeline. Any less than that, the pipeline freezes and cracks, or sort of a waxy residue forms on the inside of it. And, it's kind of tough to clean a 2,000-mile pipeline. Kind of, you don't want to have to go in and clean it ever. So it's interesting. Maybe someday we just turn it off and say, well, why even use it? It's unnecessary. Why pay for a subsidy of, bringing in expensive Arctic oil when we don't even need it anymore? Because we're selling oil internationally now. Isn't that amazing? So that's the world as I know it, guys. Okay. So sometime last week, we talked about the yen pairs. And I think about, 3 weeks ago, I talked about lining up oscillators on the daily chart, right? You guys remember all this stuff? And I said, if you're bullish, you know, you need to wait. Here's the pound yen. And do you remember, I'll zoom in one click here. Do you remember me drawing this? We were way up here during the discussion. Way up here, right? And I said, okay, look, if it's overbought and you want to buy it and you think it's going to break out, let it break out and catch a pullback. But most likely, since we're at resistance, and I'm talking about, we're kind of up in this region at the time. I said, look at the oscillator, and at some point it's going to come down, and you should wait for it to fall back to support, and then perhaps you can catch it when it's oversold if you're a long-term bull, but you don't buy here, right? And I guessed based on this old wick, I dragged it across. We had non-farm payrolls and everything on Friday. But look at that. Isn't that neat? Do you think it's valid? I don't know if you can even see it. I have it here. See? Boom. Isn't that neat? So at some point, if you're a bull on the yen pairs, you need to put together a strategy, right? So this is many hours now. So if I drop into, let's say, a 15-minute chart, holy smokes, eh? Look at that. Boom! Shalakalaka. Now that's purdy. Sammy caught it at $1.54.5, huh? Yeah, nice little 50% retracement. Good job. Yeah, midpoint psych. A little scary on the velocity there, but I think if you ran at 65 or 70, that'd still be okay. 5-minute cycle, just beauty. Look at this 5-minute cycle. 5-minute chart guys. Look at this 5-minute chart. $1.54.5, $1.55.5, $1.56.5. 200 pips on a 5-minute cycle. Well, I guess I shouldn't over exaggerate. Only 150 pips. And then look at this breakout, pull back to the psych level. And I've taught you when you break above a psych level, you use 0 to 80 as your buy zone, right? How many people confirm that? That you know this. When you break out through above a psych level, it tends to come back down, and between 0 and 80 is your buy zone. Nufletulium. Boom. Damn. Lovely. And that's when it feels really good to be a currency trader, huh? You're like, boom. Was that 50 pips? Holy. So cool. So that's just the yen. That's just the pound yen, right? Now, it's calling for 157, so we'll see if it will do that. But that's just a pound yen phenomenon, right? Take me. Or is it every yen pair? Take me. So we did that one already, I guess. I don't think I talked about the daily. Did I talk about the daily? I'll just throw it out there. So it's 94% oversold. 94. Take me. You're the magic in the moment when the glow. Will ASEAN go back to 78? Well, you're kicking off the 4-hour 21, so I would say high probability of that. Sure. Ba 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 ba. Where the children of tomorrow dream of Wayne, and there's winds of change. All right. So what I wanted to look at here is the oscillator. Okay, this is CAD yen. You see the theme? Aussie yen, pound yen, CAD yen, and Kiwi yen, and Euro yen. They're all the same. They were incredibly oversold. This one is only 93.5% oversold. It might be actually more oversold here. Let's just, we'll call it about 95 there, but okay. All right, so all we need is some support, right? All I need is a red guitar, 3 chords, and the truth. All right, that could possibly be support-ish. A little lower actually could work just as fine, right? But let's just go with that since there's a green candle. Let's drop from the daily way down to the 1-hour chart. So M2 is the pivot point. Are you going to play it? There's only one play if you're going to play it. What's the play? M2, M4. What if you're wrong? You only make a little bit of profit. Or you lose a little bit of money. Or you break even, depending on your entry. But that, according to pivot point theory, is what's going on. August summer nights, soldiers walking by, listening to the of change. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit more. Boop, boop. Oh, so when you add the daily pivot point, that at the London Open is the daily central pivot point? Huh. That could be technically interesting. Whale oil B. So there you go if you're an up. If you're a bear, what's the plan? Try my book, Sammy boy. And probably a little YouTubing. Yeah, you can ask questions. Yeah, that's why I'm here, buddy. So, if you're a burr, you want to think weekly M3, which is right here. So let's just call it 84,000. And your target's going to be 81. Okay. If you're super aggressive, you're going to short at the weekly central, but we're already through it. So it's, that's your short zone where we're in now. So if it fell now, your target would actually be a little lower. Your target would be 80.58, 80.50 and a half, eh? Yeah. So you got two choices of what you can do. It's not a tough decision, as you can see. You could buy it at M2 or sell it at M3. Oh yeah, that just happened. Baltic Dry Index down 2.4%. Seems like China is done stockpiling. Yes, Pavel. So I'll have to look at it, see what I need to do to give it a kick. Ba 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 boo. Boo boo boo. Take me. To the magic of the moment. Ba ba ba. Do 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 do. Ba 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 ba. Boom boom boom. Bo bo do bo bo do. Bo do 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 do. Okay, let me get my drawing tool. Yeah, scorpions. Sorry. I asked a friend of mine, like, hey, what did you listen to when you were in like high school? And he threw out Scorpions as one of them. I'm like, Scorpions? So I'm like, I haven't listened to Winds of Change in a while. So I listened to it. I'm like, that's still a damn good song. Yeah, totally. But of the time, too. Funny story about that. I have a friend that came over from Russia very early on in the early days. And so he got out. And so we were going to school at San Jose State University. And it was the first year the San Jose Sharks came to town. So this is early 90s, right? So you get it. Like it was like early days. I mean, I remember watching the Russian White House, so to speak, get attacked by tanks, and I'm sitting there with Sergey watching it get attacked by tanks, and tanks are shooting at it because it got taken over by Paris, I think, or anyway. So just amazing stuff going on at that time. But oh yeah, so the story is his father goes into Red Square to buy his son something. Doesn't have a lot of money, and there's not a lot to buy either. And the only economy going on is the black market. So, you know, you couldn't go to a store to buy something, but you can go to Red Square and buy toilet paper, shoes, Snickers bars, that kind of stuff. And he comes across this guy that is selling American baseball hats, and just randomly just picks a hat and sends it to my buddy, his son, right? And it just, out of random dumb luck, it was the San Jose Sharks. And we're at San Jose State University. Yeah, it could have been any team in any sport. All his father knew was that it was American. Just like, no way, man. Yeah, just like, yeah, just unbelievable randomness. So, speaking about randomness, let's talk about commitment to traders report. But anyways, the Scorpions, that song was very much of that time. There were certainly winds of change at that time. All right, so these are people buying. Slight increase, right? Week over week, can you see it? Just a very, all we're looking at is this week over that week. And then you can go back, what's the trend over the last few months? And I would just say a little bit up. Little bit of buyers. And then what about this? From here. Little bit less. So that's going to take price up, huh? Doesn't seem terribly significant on a historical basis, do you? Do you think? So what? On this chart, the low end of the curve is there. So, and what's the high end here? So I guess it's building up, huh? So more and more people convinced that the Fed's not going to raise interest rates? Seems to me the bigger trend isn't the buyers. Okay, let's call it that way. The bigger trend is the sellers. There's just less sellers. Okay. So less bearish euro. Remember, this isn't about the dollar per se. This is euro. A lot less bearishness in the euro. And there's one other thing to throw in here, and it's this line. You see the zero line? That's neutral. The euro USD is almost neutral. Let's say, you take this number, the number of buyers and the number of sellers, and they're almost exactly the same. So you probably shouldn't be aggressive on this. There's nothing at extremes. This is the market incredibly net short. Okay. Here's pretty net short. And eventually the shorts come off, right? So that's euro. Oh, bloody add. All right. Pig. Okay. Price has gone up in recent time, recent history. Is it bulls? Yes. What are you going to do about it, eh? Are you slowly cornering the market in the Great British Pound? The thing is, the move hasn't even started according to this. Those are the net shorts. And remember the Euro USD I showed when it's at historical highs? You can see sell-off. You can see the short trades, short positions taken out of the market. Well, we have an increase in bulls and no decrease in bears. Be interesting to see what happens if the bears start to get out. But that hasn't happened yet. Make Sammy happy. According to this, less people long, less people short. Amazing, huh? Less and less people trading the yens. Aussie. These are bears, right? Okay. Here are the bulls. What do you think? Is there a significant change going on? This is net bullish. Right? So what do you want to do? Now, this hasn't taken into account the change in policy, right? Do you think it's going to change? Yeah, well, yeah, you want to look. So Fred says, what do you look at? The trend? Yeah, you can look at the trend. You can look at the extreme highs or extreme lows, right? So the extremes will tell you something. But very often there's another story going on. And of course, the classic one was last year. You had 1,000 pip move in the Euro USD going straight up like a rocket ship. 1,000 pips. But I showed over the course of several weeks in the Commitment of Traders report, nobody bought the euro. But the Euro USD was up 1,000 pips. So I said, well, wait for it to get up high. I don't know where it's going to be. Is it 13? Is it 14? Is it 15? Is it 16? Is it 17? We don't know. But it seems to me that you should, you know, if your fundamental bias hasn't changed, you should be prepared to reshort the Euro USD because it's going up, but no one has actually bought it. So what do you think is going to happen when the people that, you know, clearly it was short covering. So those people that took profit low, they're going to reshort high and get back into the market at a better price. That's the whole idea. And sure enough, you know, went up to, I don't remember the number, but it certainly came down 5 or 6 or 700 pips again. So to me, that's very interesting. Yeah, 115. Yeah, I don't think it went all the way back down to 105, but you know, I think 108. I don't know. It fell 5 or 6 or 700 pips, and it was just because, well, the Commitment of Traders report told us that they're, you know, that it's only short covering and that those bears are going to re-enter. Most likely, if you think as like a trader, right? They took profit low, price skyrockets, and they're going to sell again. They're going to sell high. So that was very helpful to know why price was rising, and it wasn't buyers. You know, and I asked at the time, I said, what's the likelihood an amateur knows that? Of course, the likelihood is 0, right? So I'm like, well, a bunch of dumb money, they're going to start chasing euro because it's been up. Look, it's been up for a week, eh? Right? So they're going to buy high and lose money. Meanwhile, we're preparing to sell because we're smart. And it doesn't bother me because it has to be that way. It's a zero-sum game, right? Right? You're either a bull, a bear, or a pig, and pigs get slaughtered. So in that case, we knew to stay a bear, even though the price was up 1,000 pips. All right, what's going on with the Kiwi? No real change in buyers, but the trend is up. Less sellers. So price continuing to rise on Kiwi. It's not technically bullish there. Okay, like I'm looking at this. If you're looking at this, it is bullish. Okay, but if you look at price right now, let's go back to here. Okay, price on this chart is represented by, oh, so we're here. Okay, weekly candles, right? But if you're looking at, let's say, 4-hour candles versus the yen, the pound yen kind of looks like this. I guess I should change colors. Kiwi yen looks like this, right? So you kind of need to wait for it to make a higher low, higher high, and then see if this can turn up. Euro yen going up and Kiwi yen going down right now in real time. Excuse me. So, and CAD yen and Aussie yen not doing anything. So, so either Kiwi just got weak or Euro just got strong, or maybe both, eh? And then CAD. Boo, 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 boo. What's going on? Bears. A lot less bears in the market for Canadian dollar. Its historical high was way up there. Market incredibly net short. Check that out. The market is technically bullish on the Canadian dollar. Very interesting. Comes down to whether the rebound in commodity prices continues or if it'll settle down over the summer. It's your call. So I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope you have a wonderful trading week. I'll see you tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. Already looking forward to it. Yeah. So peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. And I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.